You'd see them at the dealership, parked outside diners, or rolling into every weekend bike meet. Today, some are gone, some barely survived, and a few left behind motorcycles that smart buyers are picking up for far less than they're worth. In this countdown, we're uncovering what happened to these 15 motorcycle brands, their rise, their fall, and what it all means for you as a rider and buyer. And stick around for number one, because its story is one of the most unbelievable comeback and collapse tales the motorcycle world has ever seen. Number 15, Sachs. Some motorcycle brands are remembered for speed, others for legendary machines. Sachs is remembered for something different, proving that a company most riders overlooked could still change motorcycle history. Long before the Sachs name appeared on complete motorcycles, the company built its reputation through engines. For decades, Fichtel and Sachs became one of Europe's most important suppliers of small two-stroke power plants, helping fuel the growth of countless motorcycles across the continent. Its partnership with Hercules turned Sachs into a respected name among German riders, backed by a history stretching back more than a century. Then came the machine that secured its place in motorcycle history. The Hercules W2000 arrived with something completely different, the world's first production motorcycle powered by a Wankel rotary engine. It was futuristic, unusual, and proof that Sachs was willing to chase ideas other manufacturers ignored. But being innovative was not enough to survive. As two-stroke motorcycles lost popularity, competition intensified, and ownership changes weakened the brand's position. The company moved away from its historic identity and eventually became a much smaller player. Today, Sachs motorcycles are fascinating reminders of an era when experimentation mattered. Some remain affordable used machines, while rare rotary models have become collector treasures. Sachs disappeared from the mainstream, but its engineering legacy never truly vanished. If you enjoy uncovering the real stories behind legendary motorcycles, not just the headlines, drop a hype in the comments and subscribe. That's what motivates us to keep researching the history, the hidden gems, and the buying advice that most riders never hear about. And that raises the next question. What happens when a motorcycle company builds a reputation around performance, but loses the battle to stay alive? Number 14, Derby. Some motorcycle brands disappear because they lose their way. Others disappear after doing almost everything right. That is the tragedy of Derby. Long before it became a respected motorcycle manufacturer, Derby started life as a small bicycle repair shop near Barcelona, Spain. From those modest beginnings, it grew into one of Europe's greatest builders of lightweight motorcycles, producing sporty, dependable machines that gave generations of young riders their first real taste of freedom. Even the company's name, short for derived from bicycle, never let it forget where the journey began. But Derby's greatest victories happened far from the showroom. The little Spanish manufacturer conquered Grand Prix racing, collecting more than 20 world championships and helping shape the careers of icons like Ángel Nieto and Marc Márquez. It proved that you didn't need massive engines to build a legendary reputation. Unfortunately, trophies could not stop changing markets. After Piaggio acquired Derby, shrinking demand for small displacement motorcycles, fierce competition from lower-cost Asian brands, and tightening European emissions rules steadily squeezed the business. Production eventually left Spain, the lineup became smaller each year, and by the time the beloved Senda disappeared, the brand had quietly faded into history. So what does that mean for buyers today? Surprisingly, Derby remains one of the hidden bargains of the used market. A clean GPR 125 typically sells for around $2,000 to $3,800, while a Mulhacén 659 often brings between $3,500 and $5,500. Well-kept Senda models usually trade for far less, making them attractive entry-level machines where available. Better yet, many Derby motorcycles share engines and mechanical components with Aprilia and other Piaggio brands, so keeping them running is often easier than many riders expect. The real challenge is cosmetic. Original fairings, trim pieces, and model-specific plastics are becoming harder to replace, making clean, unmodified examples increasingly desirable. Imagine standing in front of a bike you want, the seller swearing it's perfect. That's where riders overpay by thousands on a $10,000 bike. Our buyer's kit tells you what it's really worth, your fair price, and when to walk away. A wrong bike costs thousands. This kit, just $49. The easiest money you'll ever save. Scan the QR on the right or tap the link in the description. Let's get that bike you've always wanted for even cheaper. We've already looked at two brands with very different paths to success and decline. Now we'd love to hear from you. Have you ever owned one of these motorcycles, or did someone close to you ride one? Leave a comment below because the best conversations always come from riders who lived these stories firsthand. Derby reminds us that winning championships does not always guarantee surviving the business world. Yet for riders who value lightweight handling, genuine racing heritage, and unmistakable European personality, these motorcycles still offer far more than their price tags suggest. But Derby's decline was gradual. The next manufacturer on our countdown suffered a collapse that stunned the entire motorcycle industry almost overnight. Number 13, 𝗕𝗨𝗬𝗘𝗥'𝗦. 𝗕𝗨𝗬𝗑 belongs in that rare category that leave behind a reputation so strong that riders still speak their name with genuine respect decades later. It wasn't a company that ran out of engineering talent. It simply found itself competing in an industry that changed faster than it could survive. Founded in Briganza, Italy after the Second World War, 𝗕𝗨𝗬𝗘 built its reputation on one simple idea: build motorcycles that could take punishment without giving up performance. That philosophy produced legendary machines like the 750 SF and the unforgettable 𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗢𝗍𝗘, a motorcycle that earned worldwide praise for its speed, durability, and unmistakable character. By the 1970s, 𝗕𝗨𝗬𝗘 had become one of Europe's most respected performance manufacturers. Then the market shifted. Japanese brands began producing motorcycles that were faster, cheaper, lighter, and filled with cutting-edge technology. As a relatively small manufacturer, 𝗕𝗨𝗬𝗘 couldn't match their production scale or development budgets. Financial struggles mounted, ownership changed, and despite ambitious revival efforts, the famous Italian marque eventually disappeared from production. Ironically, its downfall only strengthened its legacy. Today, classic 𝗕𝗨𝗬𝗘s are prized collector motorcycles, admired for their craftsmanship and supported by devoted enthusiast communities. They reward passionate owners, but scarce parts and rising values mean they're best treated as cherished classics rather than affordable daily riders. But what happens when a company becomes famous not for building engines, but for reinventing the motorcycle itself? Our next manufacturer became legendary through innovation, creating some of the most exotic machines ever produced while constantly fighting to stay alive. Number 12, 𝗕𝗫𝗏𝗘. From the very beginning, 𝗕𝗫𝗏𝗘 never tried to outbuild the major manufacturers. Instead, the Italian company took proven engines from Honda, Kawasaki, Suzuki, Yamaha, and Ducati, then wrapped them in beautifully engineered frames that transformed the way those motorcycles handled. Machines like the KB1, SB2, DB1, and the unforgettable 𝗕𝗨𝗬𝗘 became rolling demonstrations of what happened when brilliant engineers cared more about precision than production numbers. Then ambition nearly destroyed everything. Determined to stand on its own, 𝗕𝗫𝗏𝗘 launched the 𝗕𝗐𝑡wo, an all-new two-stroke sport bike powered by its own fuel-injected engine. It looked like the future. Unfortunately, persistent fueling problems turned that dream into a financial disaster, pushing the company into bankruptcy before the new century had truly begun. Most riders assumed the story was over. It wasn't. Kawasaki's investment gave 𝗕𝗫𝗏𝗘 the stability it desperately needed, allowing the company to build exclusive Italian motorcycles once again. So what does that mean for you? Older 𝗕𝗫𝗏𝗘s can be rewarding collector machines, while modern examples benefit from stronger factory support. Just remember that rarity comes at a price, because bodywork and chassis components can still test even a healthy budget. But keeping a company alive requires much more than engineering genius. That lesson becomes even more dramatic with our next brand, where one visionary designer challenged conventional motorcycle thinking from the heart of America, only to discover that innovation can sometimes collide with corporate reality. Number 11, Buell. Few motorcycle brands prove that brilliant ideas alone do not guarantee survival like Buell. This was not a company that disappeared because riders stopped caring. It disappeared because a unique vision collided with corporate reality. Founded by Eric Buell, a former Harley-Davidson engineer and racer, the brand was built around one goal: creating American sport motorcycles that handled differently from anything else on the road. Buell ignored traditional design rules, placing fuel inside the frame, oil inside the swing arm, and using innovative braking systems that reduced weight and improved control. That creativity earned Buell a dedicated following. After Harley-Davidson increased its ownership, the company produced some of its most memorable machines, including the Lightning and Firebolt models. The later 1125R showed Buell could challenge established sport bike manufacturers with advanced engineering and serious performance. Then came the collapse. During Harley-Davidson's restructuring in 2009, Buell was discontinued, not because the motorcycles failed, but because the company's direction changed. Eric Buell later revived the name through EBR, and eventually Buell returned under new ownership. Today, used Buells remain affordable performance machines with strong enthusiast support. They are proof that innovation can outlast failure. 5 brands in, one thing is becoming clear. Great motorcycles don't always guarantee a great business. Has any brand surprised you so far? Or is there one you believe deserved a better ending? Tell us in the comments your experiences help keep these stories alive for the next generation of riders. 𝗕𝗨𝗬𝗜𝗡 reminds us that brilliant ideas can earn worldwide respect without ever guaranteeing commercial success. Innovation may win admiration, but keeping a company alive requires much more than engineering genius. That lesson becomes even more dramatic with our next brand, where one visionary designer challenged conventional motorcycle thinking from the heart of America, only to discover that innovation can sometimes collide with corporate reality. Number 10, Victory Motorcycles. Some motorcycle brands disappear because they build bad motorcycles. Victory disappeared after building some of the best American cruisers of its era. That is what makes its story so frustrating. Backed by Polaris Industries, Victory entered the heavyweight cruiser market with a bold mission: prove that modern engineering could stand shoulder to shoulder with Harley-Davidson. The result was a lineup of dependable, fuel-injected V-twins that combined unmistakable American style with smooth performance, impressive reliability, and innovative thinking. Models like the Vegas, Cross Country, and Vision quickly earned loyal owners, while the company's willingness to experiment, even competing at the Isle of Man, TT0 with an electric race bike, showed it wasn't afraid to challenge convention. But building a great motorcycle and building a legendary brand are two very different things. Victory earned respect, yet it never developed the emotional following or dealer strength of Harley-Davidson. Then everything changed when Polaris purchased Indian Motorcycle. Faced with supporting 2 competing American V-twin brands, Polaris made its choice, and Victory's production ended after less than 2 decades. Ironically, that decision created one of today's best used bike bargains. Clean Victory models often sell for thousands less than comparable American cruisers, while offering proven freedom, V-twin durability, strong aftermarket support, and continued parts availability through Polaris. Aside from a few hard-to-find cosmetic pieces, ownership remains refreshingly straightforward. Victory proved that sometimes the motorcycle loses, not because it failed, but because the boardroom chose a different future. But the next manufacturer didn't lose to corporate strategy alone. It was nearly buried beneath decades of financial chaos before finding its way back. Number 9, Pre-Polaris Indian Motorcycle. Today, Indian stands proudly as Harley-Davidson's biggest American rival. But that comeback almost never happened. Long before Polaris stepped in, Indian spent decades trapped in a cycle of collapse, failed revivals, and broken promises. For much of its history, the legendary name survived on hope alone. Founded in Springfield, Massachusetts, Indian quickly became America's first motorcycle powerhouse. During the early decades of the 20th century, models like the Chief, Scout, and 4 earned a reputation for innovation, racing success, and military service. At its peak, Indian wasn't just America's largest motorcycle manufacturer, it was one of the biggest in the world. Then everything unraveled. Economic hardship, fierce competition from Harley-Davidson, and years of costly business decisions gradually pushed the company toward bankruptcy. Production finally stopped during the early 1950s, but the story didn't end there. Over the following decades, the Indian name passed through multiple owners, each promising a revival that never truly lasted. Not until Polaris acquired the brand did Indian finally regain the stability it had lost for generations. So what does that mean for buyers today? Pre-Polaris Indians can be rewarding motorcycles, but ownership depends on the ERA. Vintage originals are prized collector pieces, while later revival models offer classic American style with varying parts support. Buy one for its history, not because you expect modern convenience. Indian's journey proves that even legendary names can lose their way before finding new life under the right leadership. It also reminds us that heritage alone is never enough. Every generation of riders expects something new. That brings us to perhaps the most recognizable motorcycle name in America, a company that never disappeared, but now faces a very different challenge, remaining relevant in a rapidly changing world without losing the identity that made it famous. Number 8, Harley-Davidson. You don't become the most recognizable name in American motorcycling without surviving a few storms. Harley-Davidson is still standing today, but there were moments when losing the company seemed almost inevitable. Born in a small Milwaukee workshop, Harley grew into the heartbeat of American riding. Its rumbling V-twin engines carried soldiers through wartime, cruised endless highways, and became a symbol of freedom for generations. For decades, owning a Harley wasn't just buying a motorcycle, it was joining a tradition. Then that reputation began to crack. After the company was sold to AMF, production climbed, but quality slipped. Oil leaks, inconsistent assembly, and reliability concerns arrived just as Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki, and Kawasaki flooded American dealerships with motorcycles that were smoother, faster, and often more dependable. Many believed Harley's best days were behind it. Instead, the company fought back. New leadership reclaimed Harley, overhauled manufacturing, restored quality, and rebuilt customer confidence one motorcycle at a time. Even recent challenges, from changing rider preferences to fierce global competition, have pushed Harley to reinvent itself once again. What does that mean if you're shopping today? Few brands offer stronger long-term ownership. Parts are everywhere. Independent mechanics know the machines inside and out, and resale values remain remarkably healthy. Just be selective with certain motorcycles built during the AMF years, since build quality wasn't always consistent. Picture it, you buy the bike. It looked clean, it sounded great. 3 weeks later, the bills start, a worn chain, tired forks, a service the seller never mentioned. That's thousands gone on a bike you already paid full price for. Our inspection checklist catches every one of those before you pay, walking the bike like a mechanic. Spend $49 now or lose thousands later. Scan the QR on the right or tap the link in the description. Don't let a hidden problem drain your wallet. Harley proved that a legendary name can survive almost anything. But while Harley's challenge has been adapting to a changing customer, our next manufacturer has spent decades battling something even more unforgiving: financial instability. Despite building some of the world's most breathtaking motorcycles, staying in business became its greatest challenge. Number 7, 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗔𝗔. Some motorcycle brands fade quietly into history. 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗔𝗔 refused to stay down. Time after time, it stood on the edge of extinction, only to fight its way back. That resilience is remarkable because few manufacturers have ever reached the heights that 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗧 once called home. Born in Italy after the Second World War, the company transformed from a small post-war project into the most dominant force Grand Prix racing had ever seen. With more than 70 world championships and legends like Giacomo Agostini, Mike Hailwood, and John Surtees carrying its colors, 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗧 became synonymous with speed, prestige, and engineering perfection. Even its road bikes, from the breathtaking F4 to the Brutal, looked more like rolling works of art than ordinary motorcycles. But racing glory could not protect the balance sheet. As Japanese manufacturers flooded the market with faster, more affordable motorcycles, 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗧 struggled to compete. Production stopped, the company changed hands repeatedly, and its future often seemed uncertain. Yet unlike many famous names, 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗧 always found another chance, surviving through determined investors and passionate leadership. For riders today, that persistence has real value. Modern 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗧s remain premium motorcycles with stunning performance and unmistakable Italian character, while used examples often deliver exotic performance for surprisingly reasonable money. The trade-off is higher maintenance costs, smaller dealer networks, and occasional parts delays. Realities every prospective owner should understand before buying. 𝗕𝗨𝗬𝗘𝗥𝗧 proves that beauty, racing success, and engineering excellence don't always translate into financial security. A legendary reputation can earn admiration around the world, yet still leave a company fighting for survival. But our next story takes us back to a time when one manufacturer wasn't just successful, it was the biggest motorcycle builder on the planet. Few could have imagined how far such a giant could eventually fall. Number 6, BSA. There was a time when BSA was not just a motorcycle company, it was a symbol of British industrial power. Its machines carried soldiers, dominated roads, and became some of the most respected motorcycles in the world. But the same company that once stood above the entire industry would later become a warning of how quickly success can disappear. Founded in Birmingham, England, the Birmingham Small Arms Company entered motorcycle production in the early 20th century. By the 1950s, BSA had grown into the largest motorcycle manufacturer on the planet. Bikes like the Gold Star, a 7, a 10, Lightning, and Rocket 3 built a reputation for performance and character. Then the world changed. Japanese manufacturers arrived with faster development, better reliability, electric starters, and modern engineering. BSA struggled to adapt. Aging designs, internal problems, and financial pressure pushed the company into decline, ending its original motorcycle production in the 1970s. But the BSA name refused to disappear. Decades later, the brand returned with the Gold Star 650, blending classic styling with modern technology. For buyers today, classic BSAs remain valuable collector machines, while the revived models offer a more practical way to experience the badge. BSA's story proves that legendary brands can fall, but they can also find a way back. I'm curious, do you think the new Gold Star actually feels like a BSA? Or is it just a modern bike wearing a classic badge for the sake of marketing? I really want to know where you stand on that before we move on. We're about to kick off the top 5, and honestly, the remaining names on this list are the real heavy hitters. Get your take in the comments right now, because once we hit the top 5, there's no turning back. And while BSA earned another opportunity, the next company on this list faced a collapse that nearly erased one of Britain's greatest motorcycle legends. Number 5, 𝗕𝗨𝗬𝗘𝗥𝗧. Most motorcycle brands on this countdown never found their way back. 𝗕𝗨 did. Its story isn't just about decline, it's about survival. After losing the global influence it once enjoyed, this historic manufacturer refused to disappear, proving that even decades of hardship can't erase a name riders genuinely respect. Founded in Czechoslovakia before the Second World War, 𝗕𝗨 quickly built a reputation for motorcycles that were simple, dependable, and easy to repair. As the years passed, models like the 250, 350, and the legendary 𝗕𝗨𝗏 became trusted companions for millions of riders across Europe, Asia, Africa, and beyond. 𝗕𝗨 wasn't only building affordable transportation, it was also earning victories in speedway, motocross, and endurance competition, cementing its reputation on and off the racetrack. Everything changed after the fall of the Eastern Bloc. Protected export markets disappeared almost overnight, while Japanese manufacturers introduced more advanced motorcycles that 𝗕𝗨 struggled to match. Sales shrank, production slowed, and the company lost the global dominance it once enjoyed. Yet 𝗕𝗨 never completely vanished. Modern revival efforts introduced a new generation of motorcycles while preserving the brand's unmistakable heritage. Today, vintage 𝗕𝗨s remain affordable classics with strong enthusiast support, and modern models offer classic styling with everyday reliability. But while 𝗕𝗨 successfully reinvented itself, the next motorcycle giant wasn't nearly as fortunate. Its collapse reshaped an entire nation's motorcycle industry and left a legacy that riders still debate today. Number 4, 𝗕𝗏𝗬𝗘. Some motorcycle companies spend a lifetime trying to build a legacy. 𝗕𝗏𝗬𝗘 built an empire. Then it discovered just how expensive an empire could be. After entering the motorcycle business, The Italian manufacturer moved with breathtaking ambition. It didn't just build motorcycles. It acquired legendary names like Ducati and later the rights to 𝗕𝗓𝗬𝗓𝗧, while earning respect on racetracks and in the brutal Paris-Dakar rally. Machines like the 𝗕𝗨𝗬𝗜𝗡, 𝗕𝗫𝗄, and Raptor proved that 𝗕𝗫𝗬𝗘𝗧 could blend Italian passion with genuine performance, creating motorcycles that riders still admire decades later. But success came with an enormous bill. Supporting racing programs, developing new models, and managing multiple prestigious brands stretched the company's finances to the breaking point. One by one, prized assets had to be sold, and 𝗕𝗫𝗬𝗓 slowly faded as 𝗕𝗕𝗬𝗧𝗏 became the group's primary focus. So what does that mean if you're shopping today? Surprisingly, these motorcycles are often better ownership prospects than many people expect. Several models use dependable Ducati or Suzuki engines, making mechanical parts easier to source than their exotic styling suggests. The real challenge isn't keeping them running, it's finding original bodywork and cosmetic pieces when restoration becomes necessary. 𝗕𝗫𝗬𝗓's story proves that rapid expansion and bold ambition don't always create lasting success. Owning legendary brands and competing at the highest levels of racing still couldn't guarantee long-term stability. Our next manufacturer, however, didn't lose riders' respect because of a lack of heritage. Instead, it carried one of the proudest names in British motorcycling while struggling to live up to the expectations that history placed upon it. Number 3. Norton. Few names in motorcycling carry the weight of Norton. For generations, it represented British performance, racing dominance, and engineering ambition. But behind that legendary badge was a story filled with incredible victories, painful failures, and a fight to survive that nearly erased one of Britain's greatest motorcycle companies. Founded in Birmingham, England, at the end of the 19th century, Norton quickly built its reputation through competition. The company became a force at the Isle of Man TT, collecting countless victories and creating legendary machines like the Manx Norton. Its famous featherbed frame changed expectations for motorcycle handling, while road models like the Dominator, Atlas, and Commando turned the brand into a symbol of British riding culture. Then the industry shifted. Japanese manufacturers introduced faster development, stronger reliability, and more advanced technology. Norton struggled with outdated production methods, financial problems, and internal instability. By the 1970s, the original company had collapsed. The Norton name later returned, but another revival ended in controversy and financial failure. In 2020, TVS Motor Company purchased Norton and began rebuilding the brand with modern manufacturing and new investment. Today, Norton remains a fascinating choice. Classic models are treasured by collectors, while newer machines offer a chance to own a piece of revived British history. Norton's journey reminds us that a legendary badge alone cannot rebuild a company. Passion, history, and loyal supporters matter, but lasting success ultimately depends on delivering what riders expect. Generation after generation. That brings us to another iconic British name, one that also faced bankruptcy and uncertainty, yet somehow managed to write one of the greatest comeback stories the motorcycle world has ever seen. Number 2. Triumph. Some motorcycle brands survive hard times. Triumph survived what looked like certain death. Its story is one of the greatest comebacks the motorcycle world has ever witnessed. Long before it became the modern company we know today, Triumph stood at the heart of British motorcycling, producing legendary machines that defined an entire generation. Models like the Bonneville, Tiger, and TR6 earned worldwide admiration, while Hollywood icons and racing victories cemented Triumph's reputation as one of the industry's true giants. Then everything began to unravel. As Japanese manufacturers introduced more reliable, technologically advanced motorcycles, Britain's aging factories, labor disputes, and financial struggles pushed Triumph into a downward spiral. Despite desperate restructuring efforts, the historic Meriden factory eventually fell silent. And by the early 1980s, many riders believed the Triumph name had disappeared forever. But that was only the end of one chapter. British entrepreneur John Bloor purchased the company and refused to rebuild the past. Instead, he created an entirely new Triumph from the ground up. Modern engineering, world-class manufacturing, and fresh designs transformed the brand into one of today's premium motorcycle manufacturers. For buyers, the difference between old and new matters. Classic 𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗏 Triumphs remain highly collectible and enjoy outstanding aftermarket support, but they demand hands-on ownership. Modern Hinckley-built Triumphs deliver the timeless character riders expect with the reliability, refinement, and dealer network needed for everyday use. Imagine walking into a viewing holding all the cards. You know the fair price, you know your opening offer, and you know the exact number where you walk away. That's how you knock hundreds, even thousands off the asking price. Our buyer's kit hands you those numbers for just $49. Negotiate from facts and never overpay again. Scan the QR on the right or tap the link in the description. Right away, knowing you got the best deal. Triumph proves that bankruptcy does not always write the final chapter. Sometimes it becomes the beginning of an even greater story. But the manufacturer claiming our top spot never enjoyed a comeback like this. Its rise and collapse remain one of the most unforgettable stories in American motorcycle history. Number 1, Excelsior-Henderson. Some motorcycle brands fade away because they lose their way. Excelsior-Henderson disappeared while standing at the top, returned with enormous promise, and then suffered one of the most heartbreaking collapses American motorcycling has ever witnessed. No story on this countdown better captures how quickly fortunes can change. During the early years of American motorcycling, Excelsior-Henderson stood shoulder to shoulder with Harley-Davidson and Indian. Its powerful Super X and refined Henderson 4 earned a reputation for speed, comfort, and engineering excellence, making the company one of the nation's true motorcycle giants. Then came a decision nobody expected. Even though the business remained financially healthy, production was halted as fears surrounding the Great Depression grew. The famous name vanished for generations. Decades later, determined investors brought Excelsior-Henderson back with a stunning new Super X cruiser. Riders loved its craftsmanship and distinctive character, but soaring development costs, slow dealer expansion, and fierce competition pushed the reborn company into bankruptcy before it ever found its footing. What does that mean for buyers today? These motorcycles have become genuine collector pieces. A passionate owner community still supports them, but certain model-specific parts require patience and deep pockets to locate. Excelsior-Henderson reminds us that building an exceptional motorcycle isn't always enough to guarantee survival. Sometimes timing decides a company's fate as much as engineering ever could. And that's the fascinating thing about these motorcycle brands. The companies may have changed, disappeared, or found new life, but their motorcycles continue to tell stories every time they hit the road. If this video made you see the motorcycle world from a whole new perspective, the next video goes even deeper into the machine's history and buying decisions every rider should know. Click the next video to continue the road trip. Join our tribe by subscribing, and don't forget to like this video.